I want to talk today about one famous saying I hear all the time that keeps hurting my clients. Worst of all, it was someone much smarter than me that said it. It goes like this. It's one of Einstein's famous sayings. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Makes a lot of sense. Or does it? I have a problem with this saying. The problem is that I see way too many people and clients on many occasions use this saying as a reason to stop going after a goal they are really passionate about. Think about this. Thomas Edison took almost 10,000 attempts to design the light bulb. Can you imagine doing 100 attempts and having your friends tell you you're insane and then continuing after 100 failures? Can you imagine doing 500 failures and having your whole team look at you like you're crazy for wanting to continue? 10,000 it's almost unimaginable. Other examples. Did you know J.K. Rowling was turned down by 12 publishers with Harry Potter? Can you imagine going to 5 publishers and getting turned down? Would you really still think your work is much good? What about 10 publishers? Stephen King's first book, Carrie, 30 publishers turned him down. Imagine burning through 25 publishers who thought your work was crap. Now, I'm sure they tweaked their pitch and they changed different things about the way they presented to publishers, but I very much doubt they changed the manuscripts, the core product and what they wanted to do. Sam Shestasky, I'm pronouncing that name horribly wrong, went to over 150 investors before he tweaked the way he was doing things and got US Trendy off the ground. The point is that all of these people had big ultimate goals that they were truly passionate about. They failed a lot along the way and got a lot of rejection. What they didn't, though, do was say that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result and decide to quit. They just found a different way, a different tweak, a different pivot to go to the same ultimate goal. There's another saying, this time by Edison. He said, "When you think you have exhausted all possibilities, you haven't." You see, the problem with Einstein's saying, at least the problem with the way it's applied, is that we take this negative feedback and it creates fear. Imagine getting turned down by 10 publishers with a work that you've put so much thought and effort into. It's going to make you feel like you're not very good, like you're not enough, and those fears, those insecurities are all going to come up. What do? They tell you to run. They tell you to skedaddle out of there and not face them. The problem is, you don't want to feel like a failure or a quitter. No one wants to feel that way. You know, every good salesperson knows that people buy with emotion and then they justify that purchase with some kind of logic. The same happens with fear. Most people don't want to run because they're quitters or because they're scared. So you need some sort of logic to run and quit from your goal out of fear. Unfortunately, Einstein's saying is the perfect logic. Oh, I did this 3 times, so the definition of insanity is trying to do the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. I guess I'll give up my ultimate goal. That's the way this saying too often gets applied. For example, you love sex, you want to have sex on your terms, so you go out and do that a couple of times. Then those guys don't call back. So you decide, even though I want to have sex on my terms early, I'm not going to do it anymore. Because the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. By the way, if you're enjoying the content so far, make sure you subscribe and hit the little bell so you get the notifications. Another example, you love men and you want to meet a great man, so you go on 2 online meeting websites and you meet 3 guys. You don't really connect with any of them. So you say, okay, online meeting doesn't work. I can't meet men online. Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result is the definition of insanity. A third example, you want an open and vulnerable relationship. So you be open and vulnerable with 2 men. Those men burn you for it. So you decide, well, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. I'll stop being open and vulnerable with men. Notice that in all 3 of these examples, rather than pivot and keep the ultimate goal, all these women use Einstein's logic to quit their ultimate goal. That's not what I want for you. You see, Einstein's saying only applies if you're doing the exact same thing to the exact same person at the exact same time. This isn't science. This is social dynamics, and things are changing all the time. It only takes the smallest tweak for Einstein's saying to no longer be relevant. Right, when I was going out to build social confidence, I knew I wanted to break my social anxiety, and thus I wanted to meet people in the scariest environments, bars and nightclubs. And even though rejection was constant in these environments, I never used that constant rejection to give up on the ultimate goal of social confidence. What I had to do was find different tweaks and different ways. So whether it was, I started out with freaking lines, pre-rehearsed lines, and that obviously didn't work. So then I went to high energy and that really didn't work. And then I went to low energy, and then I tried all these different tweaks and pivots, dance floors at 1 a.m. to 5 p.m. quiet bars, all these different pivots and ways, so that I was never quite doing the exact same thing in the exact same way. But it never meant giving up the ultimate goal. I was never falling under Einstein's saying of the definition of insanity. So let me ask you this: what's your ultimate goal? Think about it. If your ultimate goal is to enjoy sex on your terms, then you keep doing that. What you might tweak is the way you're meeting the men you do it with, or the types of men you do it with, or how you act before sex or after sex, or all the things around it that don't mean you have to give up your ultimate goal. If your ultimate goal is an open and vulnerable relationship and you get burned twice for being open and vulnerable, well, you might slightly tweak the timing of when you do it, or how deeply you do it, or the men you do it with, or where you do it with the men you do it with. All these tweaks and pivots along the way that mean you never give up your ultimate goal of forming an open and vulnerable relationship. Unless you're doing the same thing to the same person at the same time, it's very hard to fall under Einstein's definition of insanity. So do not use it as an excuse. Do not use it as a reason to give up an ultimate goal that you're truly passionate about. Why not instead keep this saying of Edison's in mind? Many of life's failures are people who did not realize how close they were to success when they gave up. Well, that's the video. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts, comments, questions. Put them all in the space below. I can see where this saying comes from. I just see it misused way too often. What do you think? Do you agree, disagree? Pop it all in the space below. Don't forget to grab the first chapter of my book as well. That is now available for free, and I talk about this in that book too. Give the video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button with the little bell so you get the notifications, and I'll see you in the next video very soon.